right. Oops. Good morning. Good morning. I didn't share the screen so I can get the entire screen is what I want to do. Put it over here. Oh, pick this image. Now, open the entire screen. There you go. All right. All right. How do you do share? So it should be working on that. So, I start out. This is what they're gonna have me do in class. Is start out with taking a look at choose what to share. Oh, which screen? That screen. There we go. Now I can see what I'm seeing, and there it is. Okay. So yeah, first thing we're looking for is see how the market's looking. And these are all my. Oh yeah, the calendar. I forgot about that. So I need to get that up to date and see what is happening this week. Nothing major until Thursday, and I'm not sure what unemployment claims, the retail sales. I don't think that stuff's gonna matter. And then all those Fed people are speaking again. They speak a lot, so it's not. It ends up on the calendar a lot. Yeah, here's this one dude speaking on Monday and then again on Friday. So yeah, and there's that one speaking on Thursday. He didn't speak earlier, Goldsby. Yeah, so anyway, this is my problem. I get sidetracked. Alright, FinViz. She's looking green, except for Apple and Tesla. Is that Costco? And just no big news that I can see. Stock futures are little changed, so I mean, we're just keeping on. Now this one is important. This is where I make sure my contracts are in the right spot on that one list. Where is that supposed to be? There they are. There they are. So Z is the contracts that I'm using in the indices, and X. Well, yeah, that's X. I don't mess with gasoline in that. So crude oil, nat gas. I don't think that's that oil. And then that's mini on that. So those are X's. So Z's for the indices and X for the metals. And that's going to be over here on my main, the Z's. So yeah, I've been on the Z's on those metals contracts. Z is on. X is on. X. Oh, I didn't get the metals. Hold on. Yeah, I said oil. Alright, I was looking for the wrong thing. Yeah, okay. X. Okay. So X's are good there. What's this one? All right. And Z's were up there. We're fine. I do have some corn futures, and it's all mixed up, of course. So soybean. Oh, I've been keeping that on. Okay, yeah, I'm not really messing with that one anyway. Because the the deal. Oh, I'm on the wrong deal there. Yeah, yeah. On the list that I have, this is my markup. This is my theory. I'm gonna ask them about this during class today to make sure that I'm not doing something that's not gonna work. But so like I'm marking up the ES1, which is, as I understand it, a continuous contract that kind of takes advantage of the fact that, or melds in the fact that over the course of this year, well, that's on a 1 hour, but so it takes into a course of like the whole year, even though going back here to February, that was like 3 contracts ago. So there's our 2 contracts ago at least, because we're in one that's December that will end soon, within like the next month. So the one before that would have ended. I'm trying to remember when we switched those over, like in September. So yeah, December, September, uh, it's probably easier. Forward March, for May, June, and then September. So yeah, there's different contracts, and this just kind of puts them all together because when you go into an actual contract, like see, this is one that's expired, but see, back in February, there's just nothing happening because the contract themselves are like years in advance because we're talking about, well, see, and I don't even know how these indices work, to be honest with you, except they, yeah, I don't know how they work because the contracts, when we're talking about these other things, like when you get down into the actual metals and stuff like that, well, I don't know how the metals contracts work either, but like something like corn or gas and like really anything like Kellogg's needs to have millions and millions of barrels, bushels rather, of corn every day because they're making boxes that have to go on everywhere all over the world. So they need to have a steady stream. And to do that, they work out prices way in advance. And then on either side of that deal, they can trade those contracts. I don't know fully, again, how that all works. But we're, in a sense, trading what that price is going to be, right? Because when you boil it down, I'm trying hard to come up with another way to call it besides uh, the the correlation to gambling, but it's not that kind of chance, right? The odds are very different. And I was thinking about something. I want to save this because I want to put this down somewhere. Like the market, when you talk about the markets, all of it, right? The money in this world really is out there moving. This is a way to market, right? Not market, but mark it. It's a way to mark that price at a given time you know, the open at this and the close at that and the high and the low and all of that kind of stuff. And then you start to form a picture by putting all of those moments in time together to not predict, because you can't really predict, but to observe what's happening and say, okay, the raindrop is falling. I don't know where it's going to land, but if I stand over here, I maybe have a better chance of not getting hit. I'll probably still get hit, but I'll get hit less under this branch. This very, you know, I mean, it's like you're doing is trying to figure out ways to see things like here, right? Like there's not a physical thing that's making that happen, but yet you see it, right? I mean, you see it. And that's actually a day. Why am I finding day stuff that I want to mark when I'm not even, well, because you can see it, right? Like I was just saying, you just see things in A, because this is not the one I was marking up, although that's the HG1, so it should have been the one I was marking up. Unless I was marking up the mini HG1, so I'll probably, let's look and see if I already have that. Let me see if I can do this. I should already have that marked. And there it is, I think. Where is this at? It looks a little different on the menu. No, there it is. Only I got it marked at the 4 as a 4 hour mark. Because it shows up there as a 4 hour as well. Because it was mostly done right there. But um but you see it. It's there. And then I dug in deeper and found something somewhere at, I'm guessing, the 1 hour. And let me hurry up because class is in an hour or less than an hour. Yeah, that's a 1 hour. So you see that that is a 1 hour at 9 p.m. So I'm gonna guess that that's not a big deal. And I don't know if that's what I thought when I marked it up. I'll have to go back and look at that tape if I want to know that badly. But where I left off, I did all my 4 hours. So really, all I had was my 1 hour. So I'm going to get going down here at the 1 hour. Reset this for 4, and I just went hog wild with zones. That's okay because I can look at them and see when they got formed. This is 1 hour. Calling that a noon. I did not. I was really not there to trade yet. I just came back into it before it ever left out of there. And the thing of it is that this thing is way up. And if I put these, just put those 3 on there and see that you get distracted, fella. No, I got distracted too late. Well, it looks like I got burned on my trades there. That's why I shouldn't have looked, because now I gotta see. Yeah, I got burned on that one overnight. And I am now at 53. And who knows if I can. So 61. So really, I would be okay because this is where that 55 is right now. So that's close enough to a 1 to 1. Oh, that's close enough to a 1 to 1 that if it moves away from there and lets that become a base, then I will take that as a place to move it. I'm not gonna move it up here just yet because I mean I'm still holding out for it to go up there, so I don't want it to dip down here before it does it, which is entirely possible, as we can see it right in there. Um, that's up against weekly supply. Is this not up against? This is not against a weekly supply. And what is this one for? Now that's the 126 that one's trying to get. So where did I lose? Oh, that was in the. Yeah, I don't really understand that 10-year note, so I need to leave it alone. But it's a bumper car, so keep on driving. You'll mess around and figure it out, and then you'll. Because that's what I wanted to say. I'm going to mark this down. I don't know. That's not, there's no. I'm not looking through it, looking for it on audio tape, but I want to mark this down. Um, that the markets, right? This whole thing is like an ocean, and not only are we looking at waves within waves when we look at the time frames, right? The month or weekly, daily, and things that are happening within, and we're looking at it like that's. I mean, that's what I'm looking at. That's why I put them lines on here, right? So I can see. This gives me a hint that above the upper time frames, there's an upward push as well as what you can clearly see right here, right? And so that kind of lets me know these are averages of what the last numbers of bars are. That's what these lines are created by, and it lets you see that things are happening waves within waves. Well, in addition to that, there are ways, ways, ways within ways of getting there, uh, meaning your financial or your market goals, right? Because as the more I observe and listen, like what I just said, right? I'm waiting for that to form a base, which it just did for me, right? No, it didn't. That was just adjusted down. Uh, but the more that that yeah, that won't happen until the end of the hour, which is when my class will be starting. So then he will likely say, well, he won't say anything about this in class because I don't think he would have taken this trade here. I think I was being aggressive here to take it. Um, but uh, and he's being much more easy with us. So I would bet that his trade will be down here somewhere, maybe even this one down in here, which was 6 a.m., 8 a.m. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say. But there's ways within ways because not only are we looking at these different things that are happening in that way, we're also looking at there's what I kind of absorbed just through living on the planet for damn near 60 years and listening, right? And which we probably all know about, like stocks. You buy the stock here, and then people, that's an ownership of the company and all this stuff. Well, then there's these other things like these contracts with futures and stuff, which have been around forever. And then options, which have been around forever as well. Um, and you just don't know about them because they're things that before were reserved and not in some hidden kind of way. I mean, hidden, yes, but also like you don't know because you're not there. How are you going to know about what to do with 200 shares of, or 100 shares of stock if you never had a single share of stock? And why would you understand that? And but it's something that you should. And this is why, over time we've gotten more and more people into the market, so that's got helpful. But because there's so many different ways, what becomes very, 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 very critical is not whether you're doing the the breaststroke or the backstroke or the doggy paddle or some other thing, right? Where you're going underwater and doing the thing, and you're whatever it is you're doing, you have to have a control of your breathing. There's safety issues that you just have to have. So what I'm saying is, like, to bring it to the market rate, is as long as you have risk management, I'm of the belief at this point that there are several, I'm not saying everything works, but there are several different things that work. And if you use those things with risk management, then, you know, you will get varying results, right? There's, like I said, it's risk management. Like there's different ways of going about it and doing the things that you kind of understand. I was listening to a book this morning where driving is right up my alley. Where they use the driving analogy, and it's like, if you get into a car, and this is exactly what I was thinking about over the summer when I was driving somewhere. I was looking at the highway and thinking about the market is like that highway, right? You can get out there on that car or a big old truck, a speedy car, an armored truck, or a bubble car, a car with all kinds of safety features on it, or some little. You get out there with whatever you do, as long as you are confident in driving, and if you are skillful in where you go and what you're doing. Yesterday, I was talking about the map, and you know, seeing the map and then being able to determine that, oh, this isn't, I'm off of the map, and how to get back on it. But having a map, yeah. Let me keep moving because I've got to get this done. I'm not making it. That base is not forming exactly how I want it to, but that's not how. It's not what it's about. It's not about what you want, feller. Yeah, I see. I'm going to guess that he says this one, because this may take a minute. If that's back, it's back almost a month, September 16th. But it is what it has done as well. Bounced in and out around there. So, $200 risk on it. And the thing is, once it comes down there and hits that, on good news, I don't know that I want to call it to go through and all the way down to and back up to another zone. You know what I mean? So that would really be more of just a one-to-one. Rich in here, not unheard of. Maybe double bump and still we go there. And that double bump may be that it's not coming back anytime soon, which to me puts you back in play. Now, see, that's a higher price. Leave that there and take a look at this. A smaller risk. See the same two contracts. One's 58 risk with that little narrow as opposed to 191 because you're losing or gaining with every tick, right? From and it's all guesswork. I mean, probabilities that this is where, again, there was activity there. There's clearly a base right there toward the end of the day, though, and then just where it kind of started. So I'm gonna look for it to, yeah, I'm looking at that one more. And that one actually being free to be 2-to-1. Yeah, there may be more. We'll see. Yeah, we'll just see how that one works out. All right. Because I could have also made that like instead of just the two contracts, right? Could have said make it the same $200, right? And then it would have bumped it up to 6 contracts if I did that. Which would then make my loss for that same little risk would be 183 instead of 191. But see, it's a much smaller way risk of it turning around in that area, and I don't want to risk that much on that small of an area. If that makes sense. Because if I did, because that just seems too tight to me from like, because then you're, which that's always what you're doing is where's it going to happen, and I just don't feel that confident in my assessment of that at this point. And the thing of it is with managing my stop loss, even with those two, right? So my take profit right now is set at that 2565, right? So that right there, or well, 2256.5. So that right there gets me On the 2 contracts, it's 126. If I had bumped it up to these 6, then it would make it 378, right? This would be a 378. Both of these numbers would be more. They would be here because I would be risking $200, which is ultimately my max bet, my max trade, and I'm using the wrong account again. So I want to cancel that one. No, I want to cancel this whole modification. I want to cancel that one. I'll do that one at bumper cars because this is that little account. So I'm kind of worrying about how much it is. See, I already got that. This is the one. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in. Bumper cars, man. It's bumper cars. Because what I started thinking about was the simple fact that on this one, or rather this account, I've only got 245 in it right now. So I lose that one. I lose that one. I'm busted. So I would probably want to reduce instead of 200 like I did up here, keeping that lower, is to make this one make that $100 deal. Take that down to the 1 contract. So instead of that, yeah, so then it'd be $100 or $95 risk here with that payoff. And actually, that payoff would be a little higher because at that point, same scenario, I'll be able to move my stop and hopefully get whatever I can get out of it. I mean, there's a good potential that it comes here and goes right back up here. And if I was to run it with that 1 contract, I could, if I can keep the patience. And that's the hard part. Because as you see, I'm moving buttons all around that I shouldn't be moving. But like I said, this is bumper car. Because that's a small there. And then if I can get in there behind it and ride it up, um, like this one, I want to get in here and ride that up and lock that profit in. And that's on this. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, I believe that this is the risk that I'm willing to take to do this and maybe more. But now I'm like, no, let me lock it in here to save that 55 because that wouldn't even be 55, but then I could just slam it right up there, right next to it and be like, you either go up or give me my money right now. But that's not. You treat the market that way. I'm kind of thinking about it because, like, how would you treat somebody that way, right? I mean, you go like, hey, at some point, I mean, yes, there is a point when you say like, hey, man, you said we was going to the store and we did all kinds of wiggle waggles, but I knew getting in the car with you that you did that. So I allotted myself this much risk right here, knowing that this is how you drive. So let me let you drive and stop going back up when I'm supposed to be going down, and it's 6:30 and I'm supposed to be halfway through this list by now because I'm gonna keep going back up as I go down here. All right, let me get off of this account because I will put in trades on the account that I can't afford to put trades in on. And this account started at 5,000 in August and is not quite double, and is today not right this minute not going up, going down. So let's find out what we can do about that. And I'm adopting what I am calling, now this is very similar to that other trade. Which one? I don't know. Oh, the Russell. Yeah, it's very similar to that one. Hmm. And you know what? If it is, then it's there. And because it's there, I'm going to look for something. No, I'm not. I was about to go down into the 15 minutes. We'll do that in class. I'm trying to keep away from that. I was just about to say that in particular, I'm trying to adopt a raindrop strategy whereby I discover these zones, wait for the time when they get to the zones on this many daggone things. If I can be patient and just wait till it gets here and bounces, then I'll catch this move from here back up to here, which would be something like this, right? Like catch this move again instead of trying to get down in there and get, because right now this move is easier to see. If you get down in there, you can see them, but they form very, very, very fast. Like all this time, this whole half hour, this still has 23 more minutes before that candle will fill. That one I was talking about, I'm waiting to see if there's a base. It's going to be 23 minutes before I even know whether the next candle starts going up. Now, if I went down, I'm not going to touch that button. But if I went down into these lower time frames, I would see it the same way I can go up. The same way that if I go up, I don't, I see things better. If I go here, it just came across and went up. If I come down a little bit, I can see where there was a dip and where this turn happened. And if I was on the ball at 9 o'clock last night watching it, right, and trying to be on it, I might have said, boom, this is the move right here, because it's doing this thing where it's pushing up. I can see price pushed up here. There's those candles letting me know that it's going down. In this case, there's 3 of them, but it's decidedly going down, and now it's going up. Here is where it's deciding whether it's going to go up. I don't know if it's going to go up. If I blank all this out, I don't know if it's going to go up. All I see is this right here. Well, I can make that bet right now. I can say, for this much, for oh, there it is. Let me put it up. I can say right here, I can say for this much, for $25, and go for a 1-to-1, right? But then as I'm in it and it's going up like that, I can maybe say, you know what, I'm going to just put it, now that it's up here, I'm going to put my stop right there so that I'll just keep that $17 if it doesn't come back down. Well, as you see, it did come back down. It whipped all the way back down to here. So unless you came up and said, I'm going to save my stop at $6.25, which you wouldn't do because you're just like, okay, what did you do there? Unless you more, what you would probably want to do, right, is again, well, and this one's at its all time high and all of that kind of stuff. So it's hard to say, do a 2 to 1 instead of, oh, this, I'll put that way down there because we were only, but why not? Why not make it a 2 to 1? Because you're going to look at this and go like, look, it's here. And pressure is clearly forming and showing that it's pushing. If you look back, you can even see it there pushing, right? So if it indeed is pushing right there, and you make that trade there, why not make it a 2 to 1? I mean, it's the same thing as if that had come from down there. You're expecting it to be at least this high, which is the 2 to 1. Or structurally just make it back to there. Yeah, that would be better. To just make it back to there. Now you would want to, from there, but once again, the best you could do would be to say when you get 1 to 1, which I'm kind of thinking about that. It's all about what you put in your trading plan. So I'm kind of thinking when I get 1 to 1, I'll just close it to an even trade, right? Or maybe $1. Like at least I get $1 to cover the commission. But to where then we'll see where it goes from there. If the at least thing is I'm out to trade. The worst thing is I'm out to trade again because it just boom puts me out with no profit, no loss. In that scenario, right, you're moving it up and you're just letting it go wherever it goes. And from that move that you caught before you went to bed, now you wouldn't be able to do it before you went to bed. You'd have to be watching it all night, and I'm trying not to do that, right? Which is another reason to look at the longer time frames. But if you're watching it and moving that stop up with it at each place, you can get here and do the same thing I was just talking about on that other one up there. Is it formed, so you block it off right there, and then you just keep on moving it up. And at this point, you do something like this, you see that wick is possibly going to hit you. But at this point, you are already 2 to 1 on that. That now you are at the 2 to 1 on what you risked that 25, which in fact, because of the strategy that you're using with that push up, you never even went into your 25. If you look, well, I take that back. You did. Put that back where it was. Yeah. All right. You did come back into, because you got in here. So you did come back into your trade at some point. Because if it opened here, yeah. If it opened at the bottom of the candle, the bottom of that body, and closed up here, but at some point it was down here. At some point, this was a red candle that came down here and said, hey, you messed up, buddy. You should not have got in here because I'm trying to go. And then this whole area here said, you don't understand how we're playing this game, buddy. We're moving you out. So it pushed it on up and pushed it on up and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it before you could even catch a breath up here. Like hours later, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the sellers were like, oh, we're coming back in, which incidentally is when a whole nother market opened up. Right? Somewhere in here, 2 to 3 o'clock is when London starts. So the European session starts. This was all Asia, Australia, and all of that. Then European starts, pushes all that. Now we're going to start in here. So it'll push up, unless, of course, there's a lot of people who get in and they're like, look at these knuckleheads. They pushed this price way too high. I'm pushing it back down. And that's kind of what you're thinking on that other trade that I set up, was saying they're going to push it down a little bit, but then it's going to go ahead and take off because these folks are still here. These folks are still here. These folks pushed up, but they were standing on somebody's shoulders. And those people down here are like, hey, like this thing has it too. Yeah. Yeah. These people are down here buying, buying, buying. Like they're saying, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And they sent this little fella out first. You can barely see him. But he's out there by himself. I'm just goofy. You know what it is? This is the problem. I'm just goofy. I ain't gonna lie. Now I'm trying to figure out how you turn it. Oh, there. Oh, there. So yeah, they sent this little fella out there, and he's doing a good job pushing them back. He pushes them back, but he's standing on their backs. He's standing like the crowd's got to be in on it with him. Patrick Mahomes is great, but he needs the crowd too. I'm just looking for analogies, is all. But and this guy's pushing them back up, and there he goes. Price is off to the races, and he's just going, going, going now. And at some point, he's going to get up there out of his league, and sellers are going to come into the market right away and push him down. But these folks are going to be here. We got you, bro. We got you. Or maybe he'll be too tired and he'll fall away, and that price will come right into them, and then we'll see just how strong they are to push it back up. Analogy only works so far. I mean, there ain't a dude out there. It's 100 little dudes who decided to put their money in here versus all these people who said we're waiting until it gets here. I mean, it's not really that, but it's, you got to feel it. What my man Jeff, the professor, says, we start calling people Professor Jeff. What Professor Jeff says is you got to see a story in, and that's right up my alley. Now, my stories ain't always the best, but that's how I'm looking at this one. Keep on moving, people. We got this far. Because I got 10 minutes now. That's all right, because gold. Damn. I'm taking, man. I'm betting that's where he's going to put the trade. It's been tested once. It's formed at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, which is right before the open, and then took off. I'm thinking that's the trade that he's going to call, and so I'm going to do this instead of actually. Why not place that trade? What's the point of the trade? Calling it don't do no good if you ain't in it. Back up there. It's two quarter. Yeah. We will see if that's what happens when the door opens. That's actually going to be where does Randy call it? And that's that one that's. I mean, it's bumped twice. I get paid. I got paid on it. I got paid here. I don't know. That was 4405. No, I lost 440, so I had a small loss there. It's 438, 3845, 3915. I sold it all at 44. So I stacked into it, is what happened there. I just bought as it went up. I'm not going lower, but on a lower time frame, I would have seen that going up and I would have been buying in somewhere. And I might buy in if like I bought here and then it went up. I'm still waiting to see if it's going to go up here. It comes down, does this little wick thing here, but in my strategy way of thinking, again, I've already explained that's that push up that I'm seeing. So I'm like, okay, that confirms that. Remember, I did through the little fella. That confirms he's still pushing. So if he's still pushing and having success, this is telling me that he's successfully pushing that. Then I would do the same thing that I did before. Take this opportunity to say, if you trade above here, then I'm in. With at that point, I can decide where I want to change my new stop loss here, which locks in everything I've gained at this point. Because if I had done this trade before, we'll say, yeah, it looks like that would have been the trade that I would have made. And then I ended up taking it when it got, yeah, about 1 to 1. Yeah. So that was just a mechanical 1 to 1. But if instead I had stayed in it and just kind of moved my stop to even, right, it would have continued on up, continued on up, continued on up. I like that as a methodology, right? 1 to 1, break it even. Because if you don't get the 1 to 1, you just didn't get the 1 to 1. Like if it goes back to price, you just don't get what you didn't get in the trade effectively, right? You just, or you pushed, you didn't lose anything. You didn't lose that one. So, but if you are patient and let it becomes 2 to 1, now 3 to 1, And at that point, you have moved your stop loss to here, let's say, because this is where, or to here, because this has based for you. So you say, here, I'm going to stop it here at this base. And since that's my base, or what I'm going to use as a base for a stop, and I'm doing this because it's hindsight, I can see that that's better than this one because this one would have got you stopped out. But even here, you got here, then what would have happened is you're watching it go up. And when it goes up, so here's another spot where you would have said this pushed and did this bottoming tail, and because I'm on the upswing, I'm going to go ahead and go with it when it trades over that, and would have made this my new stop loss. Surely I would have, yeah, I sure would have, because that's the idea is I'm locking in what I got, and I'm adding in new on top of that. I'm going to add one more right here to what's already here. So then I'm going to come up. Then I'm going to come up. And when I come up, or I'm going to add a price, I'm going to bring my stop price or new stop loss is going to be here. Which looks like them right in the zone. No, that's that zone. Yeah, that zone just happened to be the one. Because in reality, it's gone. It's just an area more. So, but so at this point, I'm up here. I get this one. I get into it and move my stop loss to here. I'll use this because it's helpful. Because that ends up being my thing is when it gets over this body and gets to below the body, right? That's going to be my new zone that I just created. This is what them cats was talking about, the one candlestick strategy, I bet. Yeah. But anyway, so at that point, I'm looking for a 1-to-1 on it or a stop loss. And I'm going to stop out before I get there because when I go up here, it's going to come here and stop me out on this candle here, which was the other bottoming tail I was talking about. So it's going to stop me out somewhere in that hour. Now watch this one. This is going to stop me twice. But if I do that, right, if I've done this, I've locked in this as my pay on these three, but now I've lost the one that I put in going up here. So that is going to cut my lot or my win a little bit, but it is still more than that 1-to-1 that I was going to have because I let it go to a 3 almost before I lost the one of the 3, not the 2, not the 1 and 1. And now, do I have the guts to stick with the program? Because the program says right here, I'm getting right back in on that bottoming tail because it's tested this line here and going back up. And now, if I do that, if I do have the guts to do that, come here, punk. If I do have the guts to do that, check this out. Because it's got a going to give me a 1-to-1, and it's not going to do it because it's going to, man, before I get that 1-to-1, it's going to stop me out. See that? Before it comes up here and hits that 1-to-1, I'm going to set on that candle here. It's going to stop me out right here. And am I going to see a place to get in here? That's why you got to keep going through the classes. And speaking of class, it's time for class. So got to say goodbye. Bye, 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 bye.